now we're going to be looking at sliding windows. These are probably the most common type of windows you find in most houses today. So we got 3 different ones. It's important to let you guys know that all 3 of these windows are in the same price range. So we're not dealing with apples to oranges, or apples to bananas, or apples to grapes. Apples to apples, which is how we compare things. That makes sense to me as being an inspector. So we'll start with number 2. What I would like to do is just have a measurement of the window frame so that we can compare them to the other 2 windows and see, what the quality is like. Okay, so we're gonna have take a measurement of the window frame itself, and it appears to be right around 3 inches. So we'll see how that compares to the other 2 windows, and then we'll make comments about that after. Looking at the outside of the window stops. You can see the seams, which is, it just speaks to the quality. It's not a seamless or uniform look at all. It also has an outside screen. It feels very loose. These screens can blow away fairly easily in a strong wind. So the fact that it's mounted on the outside of the window and that it's not in there very tight, something that you need to consider when looking at windows. Okay, having a look at the glazing stops. These are actually removable because you can see the seams there. You could stick a little pry bar underneath there and pop those out. What does that mean? Well, somebody could potentially break into the window if they were smart enough and had that capability. They could take those glazing stops off and actually just be able to push the window right out. So if these are on the first floor of your home, something to consider. Just because they're locked tight doesn't mean that they're not able to get inside. So I'd like to see more of a seamless design, something where the window stops are on the inside of the window, not on the outside. So we see some rubber gasket there. That's a good thing to see. Again, the screen fairly loose. Looking at the window from the top and the bottom, you can see that there's some screws on the inside and the top of the window. You've just made some holes in the top of the window. Any water that gets in, it could go right into those holes, and then that could cause damage. So I'd rather see something more flat and uniform, no screws at all. We don't want screws in this section of the window. It can lead to water damage. One important feature that basically all windows need to have is drain holes. These ones, you can see them right on the outside of the window. So just aesthetically speaking, if it was more concealed, that would be just a better look in general. These these drains have a really, because they're quite small, they can get blocked with sediment and silt and dust over time. So once they're blocked, then they're no longer draining. They're just going to lead to water backing up back inside the window, which can cause a lot of damage. So if those drains they're here, but they might not function properly over time. So one thing to consider. We can turn the window around. Have a look at the lock itself. Again, this one's a little bit more higher quality. It has a nice pull to it. Opening and closing it feels fairly smooth, not sticking or anything like that. So we can open up the sash itself and measure that thickness. Take our tip measure. So we're at about 1.5 inches. So if my memory serves me correct, we were 3 inches on the frame, 1.5 inches on the thickness of the window. We got a triple pane window, so we can compare that to 3-in-1. And we'll give that a close. And just testing it one more time. Feels pretty solid on the locking. A few things that I could wish were done better. So we're gonna have a look at number 3 next. So this is number 3. My initial reaction is it looks like you ordered it. Looks like a window you might order off Amazon. There's staples in the frame itself. Didn't know that was possible. I didn't know you could staple components of a window together. You can see all these staples along the top of the window. Not a very good sign. We're gonna kind of ignore this brick mold feature, but looking at it, the weld, very sloppy. Doesn't look like there was much accuracy with it. Looks like it wasn't really built all that well. There's some kind of wood or MDF type of material here on the inside of the frame itself. So we can measure the thickness of this one. And this one appears to be about 2 inches or so. So thinner than number 2. And then we'll look at the drain holes. Very small drain holes, almost guaranteed to block up with debris and sediment and silt and all that. So these don't become very effective unless you're someone who cleans out their window drains, which I've never heard of anyone doing. It's not part of routine home maintenance, so you're just gonna not realize those are even there. You can see them from the outside. Again, they're very visible, but once they clog up, then water can back up inside the window and cause damage. So the screen, again, quite loose, very easy to pull out, which is good, I guess, if you want to take the screen out, but when the window's open or it's just being exposed to the wind, it could just pop right off and blow away. And I don't know if you've ever tried to fix a window screen before. It's not a lot of fun. You can take you days to do something like that. So I'd rather a screen that just sits right in place, nice and tight. You don't have to worry about it. We got enough things going on in the world. We don't need to worry about repairing window screens. Looking on the inside of the window, we're gonna have a measurement of the sash, but just the way that it's sliding, fairly smooth, but also feels very flimsy. We can give it a lock. It just folded right down. Like it's not even really grabbing. So it's still loose. That's great, you got triple pane windows, but if the window isn't really sitting all that tight against the frame, you're gonna get a lot of air leakage. So that really defeats the purpose of having a triple pane window there. Okay, we can open up the sash and we'll measure it. So looking at the sash thickness, this one here appears to be about 1.75 inches. Number 2 was 1.5 inches, so slightly thicker. No gasket around the outside of the window. So again, we talked about the casement windows. Any water or ice can get inside there over time and lead to seal failures. The panes, the distances inside the panes, very thin. Like looking at it, it's just how can you get 3 panes of glass in there and how that would be effective is not ideal. So you can have close it up, and really not a lot of nice things to say about this window, but this is a very common window inside houses today. Very common manufacturer that I've seen. So not the best assessment for Mr. Number 3 here. Okay, we have number 1. This is the last one we're going to have a look at for the sliding frames. So just picking up and feeling the window, it feels very solid again, similar to number 1 on the casement side. Looking at the drain holes, they're more concealed and quite a bit larger than the drain holes on the other windows, so that they're going to be able to perform a little bit better. And you also don't see them on the outside, so that just looks nicer aesthetically when you're looking at windows from the outside. The glazing stops, they look like they're on the inside of the window, so for security purposes, that's a good feature to have. You know, no one's going to be able to pop those off and pop the window out. The only way you can get into this one is with a hammer, and that makes a lot of noise. So that defeats the purpose of being quiet. So looking at the window from the outside more, we can see that it's all really nice and uniform. Again, we have that nice flat finish on the vinyl, so it's going to hide all those little imperfections that happen over time. The window screen and also the sash has the rubber gasket around. That will help prevent any water and ice getting on the inside. The screen, very tight. It's really hard to get it out without actually having to move it out with your fingers, which is what that screen's designed to do. It shouldn't be very easy to get the screen out, because if it catches any wind, it's gonna fly away. So I'd like to see that nice and tight, and it's got the rubber seal around the screen itself, so that will just make it more solid and last a lot longer than those other screens we were looking at. No screw holes, nothing on the top, no staples, nice and uniform. This looks like it's made, professionally. It's not made in, somebody's garage or something like that. Maybe someone in Kijiji making their own windows and selling them to people on the internet. I don't know. They're not going to be able to do that with this type of window. This is all uniform vinyl construction. Really looks nice and sharp. We can measure the thickness of the frame again. So we'll start from here, because the window, this protrudes out with this style, and it looks like it's right around 4 inches. So the thickest window, we don't, well, what does that mean? What does the thickness mean? Well, the thickness means that it's just, the quality is better. There's more material there, more insulation inside the frame itself, making it more efficient. It's great we have triple pane windows, but we need to worry about what's also inside the frame. If it's a very thin frame, not a lot of insulation inside the frame, it's going to be more leaky compared to something like this. So that's great. Triple pane windows now are a dime a dozen. It's just a word you can just throw out there. A triple pane window must be a good window. No, we need to look at everything. We need to look at all the components, the thickness of the material, and then we can make our assessment whether or not it's going to stand the lifetime. So, looking at it on the inside, you can basically open and close this with one finger. Very almost effortless. Very, very nice design. Just really well built, and it closes. No movement, so it's actually doing its job and keeping out, reducing that air loss. So it's a triple pane window again, but it's actually also doing the job of keeping everything nice and insulated. We can pop the sash out, and we'll measure the thickness. Weather stripping goes all the way on the inside and the outside. Helps again with that efficiency. This thickness here, just under 2 inches. So the thickest of the other two windows. I'm not very good at math, but that's somewhere like 25-30% thicker than the other ones. Close it back up, and we can see that gasket on the inside of the window. Just going to help seal up any moisture or ice that does end up on the window. Not going to be able to get inside and cause seal failures or damage or anything like that. So I think that goes over everything we wanted to talk about today. This window, by far, again, like number one on the casement side, the quality, the components, the way that it's engineered seem to be a lot more precise and designed, because we're talking about triple pane windows. You're getting a lot more out of this window, especially it's the price range. All these three windows are the same in that same area. So I know which one I would be going with, because I can really maximize the efficiency out of that window. We're not just buying new windows for fun. We're placing, sometimes 10, 20, 30, 50 windows in a house. It's no joke, it's expensive. So we want to make sure that the quality is there, that they're going to last a long time. So you're getting the most out of your buck, which is important. So very impressed with number one here.